Well, good evening. Or good morning, should I say, over there in India. I've just got a good evening here from Karnat over in the US. So thanks very much for joining me. Hope all is well there. Raj Kanwar, Rohit Raj, Fanindra Susaria, they've all joined on board right now. But at the moment, last night, India were in a bit of a spin. England were just too good. So let's get right into Hoggs Vlog with my talking points. Roll bumper. Okay, I've got three talking points here. Bairstow Roy partnership. We've got India being a little conservative in those middle overs and spin, 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 and more spin. So let's go to Bairstow Roy partnership. Now, this partnership is becoming one of the formidable partnerships in world cricket. They have been very dominant. Now, I've just got a quick tweet here from CricViz, if we can just get that up. In England's one-day international history, they have made 75 century opening partnerships. 13 of them, 17%, have been from Bairstow and Roy, who have opened in just 6% of all of England's one-day internationals. Now, you can't beat that stat. That is awesome stat. And quite frankly, if I'm an Australian team or an Indian team and I'm in the dugout and I am going to operate against this opening pair, I'm already on the back foot. I'm scared of them because they play fairly conservatively in the first couple of overs when conditions aren't conducive to what they want to do. If you look at the way that they play, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, especially early on with the ball swinging both ways, they're a little bit more defensive because they both know that they can make it up down the track aggressively against not so much the weaker bowlers, the less experienced bowlers. So they plan well. Now, I've just got a couple of pictures here from last night in one over from Bairstow. If we can just get that up. Just look at his approach. Now, on the left of screen, we see him right across the stumps trying to work the ball on the leg side. Now, what he's trying to do there is get the bowler off his lines. So the bowler's bowling straight, just trying to attack that corridor just on off stump, just outside off stump. And he's working it on the leg side where they've only got 4 or 3 players defending that particular boundary line. So what he's trying to do is get the bowler off that line and length and get him a little bit frustrated, trying to get him bowl a little further outside off stump. Then we've got the picture on the other side where he stays leg side. This is later on in the over where he just punched Takua through the point region. And so if we can just come back to me now. So batsmen out there, up and coming batsmen that are looking to play one day international cricket and T20 cricket, these are little things that you can add to your game. Just that little movement across the crease. In doing so, make sure you get there early and you're balanced and you've got your head still. There was a few times where Bairstow went across his stumps where he was still moving and he was playing across his body and he got wrapped on his pads a couple of times. But when he got there early and he stayed still, he was able to time the ball and capitalise and get some runs. And then the bowlers were trying to bowl a little wider of off stump. They didn't see him staying leg side of the ball and it opened up the offside field. So young batters out there, you can learn from Bairstow. Now, India's conservative approach last night. Look, you had 2 right-handed batsmen out in the middle, and you had Moeen Ali operating. Now, Moeen Ali went for an economy of around about 5 and over last night, and for a right-arm off-spinner on this particular wicket with 2 right-hand batsmen out in the middle, I think that India could have been a lot more aggressive to him because he was the man who kept England in the game. Now, for me, one of the players, Kohli or Rahul, had to take a risk against him at some stage and try and get him off his line and length, but also attack him. So if they got a couple of boundaries and he went for 12 or more in 2 overs in a row, then Butler was captain. Butler would have had to change his game plan and bring one of his strike bowlers back early on. So for me, I think India could have been a little bit more aggressive in those middle overs, especially after the way that Darwin opened up. Darwin took too many balls early on. A strike rate of 23, that's not good for an opener in the power play. It put too much pressure. All of that, the conservative approach in the middle order, the lack of intent from Darwin out the start put too much pressure on the likes of Pant and Hardik Pandya out the end to make up the run rate. Yes, they got 337, but they should have got more runs with the way that England bat last night. So they might have to change their approach out the top of the order moving forward. If we can go to the next point, spin, 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 and more spin. As I've just gone, spoke about Moeen Ali beforehand. Moeen Ali has been out of sorts of late. He didn't have a good test match when he played in that test series. India were on top of him, but they allowed him to get back some confidence last night. And I really love the way that Moeen actually bowled. He was a little bit more aggressive. He was bowling into the wicket. He was quick, and he wasn't allowed the Indian batsmen to use their feet comfortably. And he was very accurate, and he was in that line where the Indian batsmen were getting back to him where they couldn't pull, but if they came down the track to him, they couldn't get to the hard volley. So he was in full control. Now, that was the difference between the game. If we look at the Indian spinners in Kuldeep Yadav and Krunal, they were under pressure with Ben Stokes, especially Krunal. Now, Krunal went for a 6 just about every over that he bowled except for the first one. Now, myself being in that situation, bowling to a guy like Virender Sehwag, who's got that boundary potential, if he puts me away for a couple of boundaries, I'm already on the back foot. I'm nervous. And if my mental approach is wrong as was last night, and you're panicking, you're trying to stop that boundary ball, and you're worried about Ben Stokes hitting the boundary ball, you've taken the focus off what you want to do. So youngsters out there, when you put in that situation, you've just got to sit back and go, okay, how do I get back into the contest? What is the ball that I bowl that's my best ball to get Ben Stokes off strike and let me bowl to Bairstow out the other end where I'm more comfortable to bowl? So for me, I just think Krunal panicked, and that's why he lost his line and length and he gave too many 6 balls away, and same with Kuldeep Yadav. They've got to get that mental approach back just to bowl that get out of jail ball. They couldn't be consistent on that line and length. Okay, let's quickly go to the the preview for tomorrow that I've got there. One change for the Indian team. I think Kuldeep Yadav has had 2 opportunities. I don't think they can persist with him anymore. He has lost confidence. Let's not get on Kuldeep Yadav's back. He's been sitting in a bubble watching other spinners dominate opposition teams over the last 3 or 4 months. He would be feeling out of sorts. His confidence would be lowering every time he sees that. He gets his opportunity and he feels as though he's got to get a wicket every ball to try and get that spot back. So Kuldeep Yadav, I don't think he's going to be playing for India for a couple of months now. I think he's got to go back into the first class system and get that confidence back. He will be back at some stage. Now, the power play for England openers, how the Indian bowlers going to bowl against the likes of Bairstow and Roy. I think Bhuvneshwar Kumar is definitely the weapon, but I just think he's going for that in-swing ball too often to both of the players. I think he can just change his tack the next game and try and feed those slips and bowl more away swingers with the odd in swinger, and I think he'll get those early breakthroughs. You've got to change your game plan up to them and try and get them one of those players out early on in the power play. You can't let them have partnerships of over 100 again, because that's where you lose the game. And this is why they're so strong. They set the game up for England. They're such a formidable pair. Now, last night there was a decision made with a dead ball. I just want to have a bit of a rant with this. Can we get the picture up of this last night? This is Pant trying to play a reverse sweep. He gets an inside edge and the ball goes through between his foot and the stumps there, and it goes off for 4. But the English have appealed and the umpire has given it out LBW. Now, the decision was overturned by the DRS. If we can come back to me now, please, Shubs. the decision was overturned by the DRS, and Pant was able to stay out in the middle. So for me, if we're going to have DRS and we don't have a dead ball and they don't re-bowl the ball, I think play does not stop until the ball becomes dead, whether it hits the boundary or it gets back into the keeper's gloves or the bowler's hand from a return to the outfield, because you can't that four could cost a match when it's very tight out the end. So I think the ICC have got to change the rules there. I think the ball is dead when it comes back to the keeper's gloves. Yes, it will be a little bit confusing early on, but the players will get used to it, and they'll make sure that if they've had an appeal, the umpire's given it out, they'll still keep running between the wickets and make sure that the play continues till it comes to a dead stop, and then we'll work out whether we're going to go for the review or not. We can't have these situations happening like this because it's very, very difficult to find boundaries as it is, very difficult to get your runs as it is, and we can't. How can you put the batsman under pressure in that situation where they feel as though they've got to make the game up the next ball and be a little bit more aggressive when they've lost those runs that they should have had the ball before? That's my rant anyway on that particular decision. Okay, let's get into the questions. I have updated my microphone here and my software, so hopefully the sound is coming through a lot better than the other lives that I've been doing. So I've really been working on that because I just want to make it more of a better experience for you guys out there on the ear, because I know we want to make sure we can do the best we possibly can. Now, Tenmoy Chakraborty, how you going, mate? Good to see you asking more questions. Is playing Kuldeep Yadav low on confidence right? No. Yes. I don't. Sorry. I'll answer that properly. No, I don't think they should be playing him. I think they should have sent him back to first-class cricket and allowed him get back into some confidence there. He's been sitting around in bio bubbles for so long, watching other spinners dominate and take the spots that he's had in both Test cricket, one-day cricket, and T20 cricket, all three of those spots. And as a player myself, going through those experiences where you're sitting on the bench, seeing someone else do the job, you're just itching to get that next opportunity. And when you do, sometimes you're over aggressive with it, you over try, and things just fall apart very quickly, as they have for Kuldeep Yadav. What would be the right step to bring his confidence back? As I said, go back to first class cricket. I was actually talking to Harsha Bogler yesterday about another spinner, and we were talking about Kuldeep Yadav. I'm going to try and ring him up after this series and have a chat to him, because I've been in those situations, and it's not nice to be in when you feel as though you're letting down the team, but you're also losing an opportunity that you've got, and you feel as though that spot's going to go to another player in the setup. So he'll be going through a tough time at the moment. Can we go to the next question, please, Shubs? Vasant Narain, how are you going? And thanks for everyone who's joining me on this live stream right now. Hope everyone's having a good day. Should India change its bowling combination by playing 4 Pacers and Washington Sundar, because Washi has good record against Bairstow? Because even if India hits 400, England can chase it. For me, Vasan, right at the moment, I think Washington Sundar has done a wonderful job in T20 cricket. I'd like to see him get more opportunities in one-day international cricket. I totally agree with you that he should be in this lineup. For me, I think Washington Sundar and Axar Patel at the moment probably could be your frontline one-day international bowlers, but I'd even go Ashwin there as well in front of Sundar. So I don't think they're bowling their best combination at the moment, but what you're doing right now is you're trying to blood some young players for the 2023 World Cup. Now, remember that there's been a few injuries in the Indian lineup of late, and you want to be able to add those depth, and you want to be able to add those different bowling combinations. So, yes, winning the series against England is important, but what's more important is developing these young players and putting them under pressure. winning a series like this, a 3-match series, isn't the big picture that you got to look at. The big picture is giving yourself the best opportunity to win a T20 World Cup, and that's giving yourself plenty of depth. India have got a lot of depth in their batting. They've probably got the best depth in the world in the batting department in all formats. But when it comes to the bowling department, you can't just rely on Boomerang and Bhuvneshwar Kumar to do the job all the time. You've got to have Prasid, Shakil Thakur standing up and delivering as well, and making sure that India have got depth. And then in your spin department, Cronell, wonderful with the bat, but he's got to get another opportunity because I can see a little bit of talent with his left arm off spin, and another option as an all-rounder there. But if I was playing my main team, Sundar and Axar Patel would be in this lineup, not the two spinners that they've actually got there now. Very good question there, Vasant. Can we go to the next question? Oh, Abhishek B, thanks very much for your little donation. GM Docker. Righty-o. So for me, I think that means that you go for the Dockers here in the Aussie rules in Australia. I hope I'm right there, but let's get to your question. Should England go with the same gung-ho approach even if they lose the openers early, given the middle looks fragile? Favourites for Ashes. I think England's the favourite for the favourites for Ashes at the moment. I just think they've probably got a little bit better batting depth than Australia at the moment. We rely too heavily on Smith and Labuschagne in that Test arena. But for me, if England lose the two openers, I just think they'd be a little bit more conservative going forward, and probably try and get a total of around 300. So if they think par scores about 320, they'll try and get something just around par or just under, and hopefully the bowlers can do the job. And that, any team that I've been part of, yes, you want the batsmen to be aggressive, but if they have a bad day, you want them to limit the damage and give you as a bowling unit a target that you think you can defend and operate. Because if you think it depends. If they're setting the total, that's the way I go. If they're chasing and it's a big total, you still have to go after the bowling. So for me, if you're setting the total, you'll be a little bit more conservative. But if you're chasing a total, you'll give yourself a few extra balls with the next batsman coming in, but you wouldn't leave it too late. You'd still have to have that aggressive approach. You don't want the run rate when you're chasing getting more than 8 and over when you're chasing. If you do, with 30 overs to go, the bowling team can really strangle you. So you still got to be aggressive chasing. But when you're attacking and setting the total, you can be a little bit more conservative and give the bowlers something to bowl out. Very good question there, Abhishek. And if you are going for the Fremantle Dockers, go Dockers. Fat Huntsman, how you going, mate? Why didn't Hardik get the ball in hand? He's been formidable in the T20s. Strange considering how badly the spinners fared. Well, Fat Huntsman, good little handle there. For me, Virat Kohli was trying to get both spinners into the act and try and get them a little bit more confidence. But the further they went on, the less confidence they got, and the worse they bowled. And the other thing is Hardik Pandya, he's coming back from injury. They're monitoring his workload, and they feel that he bowled a few too many overs in the T20 than they wanted. But they got a lot out of him in that, and they realised his full potential, and they saw huge development or improvement in the way that he bowls in the shorter form of the game. So they don't want to overuse him at the present moment. They want to protect him and make sure he gets his body fully fit to be able to be that genuine all-rounder where he is bowling 10 overs in one day international cricket, as well as being a prominent powerhouse batter. So it's protecting his body, not so much not bowling because he can't bowl. It's more worried about protecting his workload. So that's why he hasn't bowled. Hardik Pandya, I'd love him to bowl. I just think he's come of age lately. And India are missing him with the ball in this one-day international arena at the moment. Austin D'Cunha. Who do you think should be the captain of Delhi Capitals in the absence of Shreyas Iyer? Also, Hoggy, please preview all IPL teams on Hoggs vlog before IPL. We'll be getting into that. Don't worry about that. Right after the one-day international team series. Delhi Capitals. Who's going to captain? Look, I'd like Ajinkya Rahane to captain the Delhi Capitals, but is he going to play every game? Not sure. But I think Ajinkya Rahane is the main man to captain the Delhi Capitals. I think it's always good to have an Indian leading the ship. I don't really like foreign captains in local tournaments. So for me, I think Ajinkya Rahane's got to get that role. And with Shreyas Iyer not playing, I think Ajinkya Rahane is going to be batting out number 3. For the whole series. You need that stability there, and so for me, Ajinkya Rahane. Next question, please, Shubs. Rohit Raj. Hi, how are you doing? I'm doing very well. Is one-day international cricket going to change to the way England plays now? Looks like this will be the new way to play one-day internationals like T20s. Amazing to watch, though. Yes, the way that they're playing at the moment, it has been a wonderful experience to watch. The thing is, most games that they win is set up by their opening partnership, as the stat I showed you early on in this preview, where they've got the best opening partnership from any England opening partnership in one-day international cricket by an absolute country mile. If that opening partnership fails, both of them get out early, then that middle order is quite vulnerable. And that's where sometimes when you play that aggressive approach, you open up those weaknesses. So for me, I love the way that they go. Joe Root coming into the team in the one-day international, this one-day international lineup adds that stability in the middle order, but it's the other players around him that are a little bit more inconsistent, and they've all got that aggressive approach where England batting can be quite fragile. Those aggressive players in the middle order are dominant when it's set up early, but when they're under pressure, they generally don't perform as consistently under pressure. So, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. For me, I'd still prefer India's approach at the present moment rather than England's approach. I think India's approach has got more longevity than England's approach in consistency of winning games. So for me, I like the aggressive approach, but you're opening up a lot of holes. Good question there, Rohit. All right, next question, please, Shubs. Androsius, how are you going? Thanks for your little donation. Would 450 be less against a ballistic England today in the clash of titans? Hoggy, details on your autograph merch, please. Your US-based Indian fan. Okay, we're going to try and get some merchandise up and running. The only thing right now with travel around the world is it's quite difficult to get things delivered. I've been waiting for something to get delivered here in Australia. It was meant to be here in December, and it still hasn't got here, and rang up the delivery people just recently, and they said, look, we can't give you an estimated time of arrival now because things are slowing right down. So we're going to have to be very careful with that, with the details, but we're going to get some out there, and hopefully we can get it sooner than later. Would 450 in a one-day international match these days? I think if you get that, I think the opposition team's going to be blown out of the water. We had that 400 game against South Africa and Australia many moons ago. I think that was 2007. I can't quite remember, but I was 12th man for that game. And we thought that we had South Africa on the ropes on that particular evening. Then Herschel Gibbs came out and played a wonderful knock. I think he got 175 and took the game away from us, and South Africa won that game quite easily. But 450 on a consistent basis, and getting run down. I don't think that would happen too often. If you get 450, that's game, set, and match. And I don't want too many games of over 450. I like the low scoring games as well. But yeah, I think for England in this third game, I think India have to look to get around 370, 375 to keep the pressure on. That's a good question, that one. Thanks very much, Andratius. And we'll get the merchandise out as soon as we possibly can. Aria Merkinjay, or Merkinjee, why cricket is not growing outside the subcontinent and England and Australia? Now, that is a very good question, Aria. Um, I just think it's been playing on my mind for a lot because I've been going over to Croatia and playing in a few tournaments over in Croatia and trying to develop the game there. I've got a mate who's coaching the Dutch right now, Ryan Campbell, who's doing a fantastic job. We've got USA who have got so many fans that follow cricket over there. It's the second biggest viewership in cricket around the world. So I think we should be investing more money or more time and resources into these areas because there's a lot of good cricketers out there that are missing out on opportunities of playing international cricket. And I had an idea that you've got the South Pacific here in the Asian region. You've also got the Europe region as well. Instead of trying to have the minnow teams in there, yes, you could have Holland in there and Papua New Guinea have done well. But I'd like to see something like a West Indies concept where you get the best of these regions in a team and put a formidable team together to play in the World Cups. So you'd have a Europe team and an Asian team, and what that does, if they have a little bit of success, those particular players go back to their region and pass their experience on to the other players there, and the youngsters coming through um, will be a little bit more advanced than where they would be now without those players having the experience. So I think we could change up the schedule. We could change up a few things to allow those better cricketers to be in one team to play to test their skills a bit against the best in the world. So for me, we've got to invest more in those particular regions because we want to be a global game. That's been the mission statement for a very long time, and we haven't been. I don't think we've been doing a good enough job with it. So that's a very good question, Aria. I want to see America in it, and I want to see more European teams in it as well, and Asian teams. I think there's so much depth around the world that we're missing out on. So much talent. Good question there. Mridil Sabadi, how are you going, Mridil? Can we see Sky in the playing 11 of third one-day international and KL and Rowett in opening? Darwin had a wonderful game in that first one-day international, but he let himself down in the second game. And this is one thing with Darwin is his consistency. When he's on, he's on. But when he's having a poor day, he's having a poor day where he can't rotate the strike and the pressure builds up and that run rate just keeps going lower and lower and lower. So for me, I think you need to bring someone like Surya Kumar Yadav in and bat him probably out number 3 or number 4. I'd like to see him out number 3, be a little bit more aggressive, and Virat Kohli drop down to number 4. And then you've sort of got a mixture of conservative batters around a powerhouse batter who's aggressive, then another conservative batter finished off with your powerhouse unit in Pant and Hardik Pandya down the lower order. Then you've got a balanced team that can play that aggressive brand of cricket. Then if you lose early wickets, you can just build the momentum back in your favour, get the momentum back into your shoes, and then allow the likes of Pant and Hardik Pandya to dominate out the end. So for me, Surya Kumar Yadav should come into the next team and have Rahul opening the batting now that he's in fine form. KL Rahul, what a wonderful knock yesterday. Early on in the T20 series, he was just trying to work the ball through point. He wasn't playing straight, and now that he's got a little bit of touch, he's hitting straight down the ground perfectly. He's in the song. So now that he's confident, I'd get him back out the top of the order. And I hope you agree with me there, Mridil. I like your analysis there. Have I got another question, Shubs? No, we haven't. Thanks very much, everyone, for joining me. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter with the handle at Brad_Hogg. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope the audio is a lot better. I've got a new system in, and you guys have a good day. Good luck to both teams in the final match. I think Wood's going to come in for England, and that's going to put a bit of pressure on India. I think it's going to be a close game. Whoever bats first will win this third one-day international. That's my prediction. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.